Hi, hello, vanakkam, and welcome to Little's Law. This is me, Yavasant Shanmugam. In this video, we are going to see about what is an application server and how does the application server works and how does an application server works with the database server and communicates with the web server and what is the difference between the application server and the web server. So first let's start with what is an application server. An application server is a modern form of platform middleware, and it is a system software that resides between the operating system on one side, the external resources such as a database management system, communications, and internet services on another side, and the user's application on the third side. Is that all about application server? No. Applications comes in all shapes, sizes and use cases, and in a world where we rely on a host of critical business processes, application servers are the high-powered computers providing application resources to users and web clients. Application servers physically or virtually sit between database servers, storing application data, and web servers communicating with clients. App servers and middleware are the operating systems supporting applications development and delivery, whether it is a desktop application or a mobile application or a web application. Application servers plays a critical role in connecting the world of devices. We look at how application servers fit into a network server architecture, how app servers support web servers, native applications and mobile applications, and the current state of the application server. And before we move on, we will look about some of the application servers terminologies. First, let's start with the web server. So the web server is responsible for storing, processing, and delivering data input output for web pages, and they mostly deal with the static contents like HTML, JavaScript, CSS. And next is a web client, which has the endpoint attempting to access web or application resources. And then we have the HTTPS, which is the communication protocol between web server and web clients. And fourth, we have the servlet or JSON, which is the language for exchange between web and application servers. And then we have the business logic, which are the rules for data storage and transfer of application resources, and these business logic sits in the application server. And then we have the application, which is a software program or website which is attached to a database. So far we saw about what is an application server. So now let's see what is the role of the application server in service architecture. So when the application users, be it staff or web clients, request access to an application, the application server often does the heavy lifting on the backend to store and process the dynamic application requests. And why is that? Since the application server holds the business logic, it does all the dynamic actions, dynamic application requests, and it processes all the dynamic application requests. So why do we need an application server? Billions of web clients make HTTP requests every day, expecting instant access to the applications, starting from reading the morning routine, using Google Documents for extensive reporting, watching Twitter, Facebook, YouTube for the breaking news, and no matter the application's news, it's being pulled from an application server and delivered via the web server. And these web servers are responsible for serving web clients' HTTP requests with HTTP responses. And unlike application servers, the web server design is light enough to process static data requests for multiple applications or for multiple websites while maintaining security. And these dynamic requests, often in the form of applications, requires additional assistance. Since application servers deals with dynamic content and in processing dynamic requests, how do they optimize the traffic and how do they add security? So to achieve optimal web server agility and managing both HTTP requests from web clients and parsing or storing resources from multiple websites does not work. So what is the role of application servers? So application servers fills this gap with a high powered design built for handling dynamic web content requests. And the application servers also provide program redundancy and an added layer of security. And once they deployed between a database server and a web server, the job of preserving and duplicating application architecture across the network is more feasible. And the additional step between the potential malicious web communication and the database server adds an extra security layer. And because the application servers can process business logic requests, any attempted SQL injection is also that much harder. The organizations will further or have the option to further protect their data by using a reverse proxy server, and that is positioned in front of their databases. And the proxy servers and the VPNs, which is the virtual private network, have the possibility or have the ability to do wonders by anonymizing and encrypting communication to protect users and the company data. So, how do the application servers work? Like most servers today, application servers contain features for security, transactions, services, clustering, diagnostic, and databases. Where application servers deviate is their ability to process servlet requests from a web server. In this image, we see the general flow for web application servers. And let's see how does that work in the following steps. The client opens a browser as the first action and requests access to website. And as a second action, the web server receives the HTTP request which is sent by the user and responds with the desired web page. So as the third step, the web server handles the static data request, but the client wants to use an interactive tool or interaction or interactive information. And for that, a dynamic data request, the web server transfers the request to an application server. And in turn, the application server receives the HTTP request and converts it into a servlet request, since the database server can understand only the servlet request. So the next step, the servlet request reaches the database server and the app server receives back a servlet response from the database server. And finally, the app server translates the servlet response into HTTP format for client access or for client understanding. Upon receiving a servlet request from a web server, the application server processes the request and responds to the web server through servlet response. And because application servers primarily work with business logic requests, the web server translates the servlet response and passes the HTTP response, which is accessible to the user. So now let's see the difference between the application server and the web server. So the application servers are designed to serve HTTP and other business logic requests, whereas the web server are designed to only serve the HTTP requests. The application server store and provides the business logic, so that's the reason business logic is being set up in the application server and which has not been directly reachable from the real world. But on the other hand, the web server stores and provides static web content. And next, the application server's resource utilization is heavy since they deal with dynamic content and since they hold the business logic. But the web server, on the other hand, the resource utilization is very light since they deal with static web content and they serve HTTP requests. And the support part, the application supports distributed transactions and enterprise Java beans, which is EJB. And then the web server supports servlet Java server pages, which is JSP and JSON. And then we have the top vendors for application servers. The Adobe provides ColdFusion, the Apache with Tomcat, Apple with WebObjects, Eclipse with Glassfish, IBM with WebSphere, Microsoft with IaaS, Oracle with, again, Fusion middleware, Oracle containers, J2E, Red Hat with JBoss. And on top of this, Red Hat, Eclipse, and Apache are the free, and all the other vendors are commercial softwares. So finally, we will see how does the application server and the web server, so are they really a best friend, and how do they really interact? So application servers are critical to today's interconnected demands since the demands are increasing day by day and time by time, and enterprises ultimately are beholden to client interest, and without a scalable and stable connection to application resources, modern customers will have to wait for a long time waiting for the response. So the application servers take on the role of connector and best friend for the web servers, and when the web servers have a client request that's too much to bear, app servers makes it possible to keep communication seamless with dynamic web content. So far we saw about what's an application server and how does it work and what is the difference between the application server and the web server, and I believe this video would be very useful to you. If you really find it useful, please do share, subscribe to our channel, like the video, and comment your questions and feedbacks. Until we meet you in another interesting video, it's bye-bye from Vasan Shanmugam and Little Slaw.